Bakkies, utes, pickup trucks, or whatever else you call them where you're from have always been synonymous with tough, mud-splattered workhorses with a can-do, drive over anything philosophy. It's pretty clear that those days are behind us now, but that era has given birth to this new generation, which has gone to private school and has a posh English accent. They now have push-to-start buttons, infotainment screens that would make Apple jealous, and a plush suspension setup that would put some high-end SUVs to shame. Can we still call these bakkies? I'm not so sure so much. Welcome to the top spec VW Amarok Aventura review, and in this video I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about its practicality, its features. I'm going to compare it to its sibling from Ford, the Ranger, and then I'm going to take it on the road and tell you what it'll cost to own one. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Car Talks: Power, Precision, Performance. The Aventura has been lent to the channel by VW Fourways, so shout out to Yusuf and Dillon for making it happen. I have an interview with one of them at the end of the video to find out what deals are available for you during this festive season. Moving right along, the Amarok shares a lot of its underpinnings with the Ford Ranger, which we had on test earlier this year, and that is because they are assembled from the same plant in Silverton right here in South Africa. By the way, the Ford Ranger Wildtrack review that we did is now on 42,000 views, so thank you for watching. The Aventura is the top spec model, of course, so the comparable Ford Ranger model would probably be the Platinum, but we'll talk about the Wildtrack anyway because that's what we actually had on test. So in this video, you might see some components in the Amarok that you've probably seen in the Ford Ranger, like the gear selector and the door handles, to name a few. More notably, however, is the 3-liter V6 turbo diesel power plant, which is also shared across the two vehicles, producing 184 kilowatts and 600 of newtons meters, baby. Power is sent to all four wheels via a 10-speed automatic gearbox. It weighs 2.25 tons. Heavy porker. And despite all of the shared components, VW have gone out of their way to ensure you get a completely different experience out of the Amarok, and arguably more luxurious too. So for instance, in the Amarok, you get high quality two-tone leather with brushed aluminium inlays, a Harman Kardon sound system as opposed to the Bang & Olufsen, and the suspension work is specific to the Amarok, so you get an independent double wishbone suspension up front and leaf springs in the rear. This gives the Amarok an SUV type of sensation and hides its body-on-frame chassis nature very well, but you can still feel those heebie-jeebies on the road every now and then. Stepping into the rear, you get a side step with a chrome inlay, a two-tone leather bench with a center armrest and ISOFIX anchor points to safely mount your child's seat. And speaking of safety, the Amarok gets a 5-star Euro NCAP rating. You get 2 air vents, a 3-point plug, and a 12-volt socket to charge all of your electronics. As always, I'm 1.78 meters tall or 5'10", and I can somewhat sit comfortably behind my driving position. I mean, it's not massively roomy back here, which is synonymous with most ladder-on-frame chassis SUVs and bakkies, so that's totally fine. Adults will be comfortable back here for a limited period of time. Stepping into the front, you will notice that the side step extends all the way here too. You get electrically adjustable two-tone leather seats. You get a leather-wrapped steering wheel that we all know by now from basically every other VW product, but you'll be happy to know that it has physical buttons. The black roof lining gives the interior a premium look, and that would be your wireless charger, 12-volt socket, and 2 USB ports. You're not going to be found wanting for storage space because it is plentiful. You get 2 cubby holes and a deep storage bin under the armrest. You also get a 12-inch infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, this is a capable off-roader, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I did want to mention that the Amarok has a few off-road modes, which I've already broken down in detail in the Ford Ranger review, so please click on the link in the description box below to watch that video. Moving on to the bakkie part that makes this a bakkie, You get an electric roller shutter which you open by double tapping the roller shutter button on your key fob. You then get a payload of 942 kilograms. So if it's a workhorse you are after, then you're better off in the lower trims like the Life and the Style, as they both have over a ton worth of payload. On the bed, you will find a couple of lights which will come in handy at night. You also get a 3-point plug, a 12-volt socket, and another button on the body of the vehicle to open and close the roller shutter. Once you're ready to close everything off, you'll be happy to note that the tailgate is very lightweight as well. Brake towing capacity is 3.5 tons, and that would be your spare wheel underneath the car. Other bits and pieces that remind you you're in the top trim include a beautiful body-colored sports bar with an Aventura badge. And with that being said, let's take her out on the road and find out what she's like to drive. The driving position is spot on for this vehicle type. You sit nice and high, overlooking the rest of traffic, and the way it just glides over bumps and road imperfections is unreal. All while listening to the low-down grunt of the V6 diesel. Okay, so the elephant in the room are those massive 21-inch rims on highway terrain tires. Nice and sleek for the city life, but not so much for off-roading. The Ranger Wildtrak had the exact same highway terrain tire, but the rim was 1 inch smaller. And even then, eventually it was able to complete the off-roading course, but those tires were slipping the whole day, which goes to show that even the most capable off-roader is nothing without the right tire. So if you're an avid off-roader, it would be worth fitting the smaller all-terrain wheels that you find in the Pan Americana. Another thing to get used to is just the sheer size of these vehicles, both of which measuring over 5.3 meters in length. And to put that into perspective, this is how much real estate the Wildtrak used up in my garage. And as big as it is, this is still considered a compact truck in America, which would then mean a full-sized American truck like the Ford F-150 would not be able to fit inside a South African garage because that measures nearly 6 meters in length. An F-150 next to a Ranger Raptor looks like it just had a Ranger Raptor for breakfast, so the size is just mind-boggling to me. Claimed fuel consumption is 8.4 liters per 100 kilometers on the combined cycle. And I want to dispel that one immediately because it is never going to happen on the combined cycle. You might get close to that number at highway speeds, but not the combined cycle. This unit is averaging 13.3 liters per 100 kilometers, and that number tracks for me because I was getting a similar 12.4 liters on the Wildtrak in the city. And the lowest number I ever saw while cruising on the highway at 120 kilometers per hour was 9.4 liters to the 100. So for the week I had the Wildtrak, I burned through 2,800 rands worth of diesel and I barely covered 1,000 kilometers. So to Ford and VW, I don't know what test you were conducting on that engine to come up with that number, but if anyone else has gotten close to 8.4 liters on the combined cycle, then let me know in the comments. Personally for me, I think it might be worthwhile having a secondary vehicle to use as a daily, something like a VW Polo. Only then do these kinds of vehicles make sense. Now, before the Bakkie community comes to me in the comment section, my advice is not the word of God. I'm just saying that that's what I would do, but if you want to drive your Aventura every blessed day to work and burn through 8,000 rands worth of diesel a month, chief, do whatever you want with your money. If I had something like an Aventura, I'd probably still keep my 3 Series as a daily because it's very light on fuel. And on that note, let me know what your perfect 2-car garage looks like. What does it have inside? Other highlight features include blind spot monitoring, a 360-degree camera, adaptive cruise control, and forward collision warning. Before we get to pricing and the cost of ownership, if you are enjoying these videos, then do well and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you don't miss a single one of our epic reviews. Moving on to pricing. Now the Amarok has a myriad of models, too many to discuss in one video actually, but for all intents and purposes, Just know that the range kicks off with a single cab that has a 2-liter diesel engine starting from 593,000 rands, all the way up to the range-topping Aventura, which is priced at 1,252,000 rands. On finance, the Aventura will cost you 24,500 rands a month over 6 years at the current prime interest rate of 10.25% per annum. Insurance is risk profile dependent, and the cheapest quote I got was 3,600 rands. A full tank of diesel will cost you 1,500 rands at the current inland price of diesel for the 80-liter fuel tank, which would then bring your total cost of ownership to 29,500 rands. There's nothing quite like this engine in the market, to be honest. It's smooth, it's refined, it's not as loud and as rugged as the 2-liter bi-turbo engines that are out there. And with the Amarok and Ford Ranger being the only bakkies in South Africa to have a V6 diesel engine, do you think the price premium over the competition is justified? Let me know in the comments below. Last but not least, you get a 5-year 100,000 easy drive maintenance plan and a 5-year 150,000 kilometer warranty. Now, let's hear from the team who made today possible. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today I'm at VW Fourways and I've had the pleasure of interacting with a wonderful gentleman. Sir, take it away. Tell us who you are, what are your socials, and where can my people get a hold of you if they're looking for a VW product?
Hey guys, my name is Dillon. I'm a new car salesman at VW Fourways. We are under the Motors Group. If you're looking for any cars, you can contact me on my personal cell, which is 076 093 1415, or you can visit my Facebook page, which is Dillon Nagana as well.
Absolutely, thank you. Now, you've just recently launched the Golf 8.5 GTI, which I'm probably going to get to drive soon.
Yes.
So it's the festive season, and I'm sure your phone is just going off the hook. So just tell us about your festive season. How are the sales looking so far?
So look, there's a big hype on the Golf 8.5. A lot of customers are excited for that extra 15 kilowatts that you get, and the 2-liter turbocharged engine, and obviously a bit more on tech feature upgrades. So we do have 2 that's coming to our branch. They should be here next week, which I'm sure you definitely will test drive. But the hype is there for it. I mean, December we expected to be a bit quieter, but we're seeing that it's actually doing quite well. So apart from the 8.5, there is a customer that's looking for your Tiguans and all of that. And we're doing pretty well.
All right, sounds good. You heard it from the man. Last question for the day. In terms of the Aventura specifically that we drove today, what are some of the specials going on? Because I heard from a little birdie that you've got something special you've cooked up for us.
Yes, 100%. So at our branch, you can find the 3-liter V6 Aventura. That's going for 1.25 million. We are offering up to 200,000 Rand cashback, or you can get a discount towards your vehicle, or you can choose to either pay your first installment in May next year. So the choice is totally up to you. Let's pause and take that in. That is 200,000 rands into your bank account this festive season. Offer is subject to VW in-house finance, of course. Absolutely. Well, you heard it from the man, Mr. Dillon. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, take care.